Hey YouTube, wanted to make a quick video on my Swiss Army knife collection. So, when I kind of embarked on picking up a Swiss Army knife, it's pretty overwhelming. There is just a slew of them to pick and choose from, so kind of spent a lot of time figuring out which one do I want. And I'm kind of a gadget gizmo guy, so I knew that I would not just get one, so I kind of picked and choose around knowing that I'd probably get a couple of them. And I have these three, and I actually have a fourth one on the way, the Evolution 23. But these are the kind of the core three that I picked. So overall, I would say if you're looking just to pick up one knife, I would say get the Huntsman. Huntsman is about this size. So this is the Fieldmaster, and it's the same size as the Huntsman. Same tools, only difference is the Huntsman has a corkscrew and the Fieldmaster is a screwdriver. So I chose the Fieldmaster because again I knew that I would get other ones to complement this, and this is my kind of my around the house carry knife, and I felt like I would get more use out of the screwdriver since this is something I'll be kind of carrying around the house, maybe to the office, so I felt like this would make more sense to me. So this is the Fieldmaster. Overall, I think it is kind of the what I would call the perfect size. It's not too wide, pretty narrow. So this is the camper. As you can see, this is a 2-layer knife. This is a was it a 4-layer? 3-layer. Yeah, so it's just a tiny bit wider, but I'll cover that one in a second. But overall, I think this is the perfect size. I'm also not a fan. This is a 91 millimeter length. To me, this is like the perfect size. I know they make I think it's what, 51 millimeter, kind of the shorter ones, and I don't know. I don't like those. To me, those are more just kind of like novelty tchotchkes. I don't consider them real tools I'd want to use. And again, shouldn't say that they're not real tools, but again, I feel like these are a little more substantial. Everything's a little thicker, and I just prefer these and to carry them. So if you're only going to carry one, I'd highly recommend that you get the Huntsman, or if you really want a screwdriver, the Fieldmaster. I think that's like the perfect one watch, or I'm sorry, perfect one knife, not watch. I collect watches too, which I'll cover maybe in some other videos. So I picked this one to begin with, and then I picked up the Handyman. So the Handyman to me is probably kind of the most kind of versatile knife. I was looking at the Swiss Champ, but the Swiss Champ was just way too thick. It was even thicker than this. So I think this is probably the limit. I think any thicker than this, and you pretty much have to carry it in a pouch or something, so I don't know, something else, but I just can't imagine carrying it in a pocket. So this one is still pocketable. It is a little large and heavy, but still doable. I chose this one because it has obviously the knife, so we can assume that that's just in all of them. But there were 3 other things I wanted. So pliers. These are pretty nifty. They're not as robust as like pliers like on a Leatherman, for example, or I think I have one laying around here, or even like the Gerber dime, but they do work. I've actually used this fishing. That's kind of actually what one reason I got this for, is kind of more of an outdoorsy watch trying to go fishing. Gets the job done. Get the hook out. Any kind of small thing. I mean, I wouldn't be trying to tighten and take off bolts off my car with this thing, but for just small little tedious tasks, it works pretty well. One thing is also, if you are like heating something up in a fire, like if you have like a tin can or making coffee or something, it's great to like grab it, pull it. So one of the pliers, so I want that. And the other was a saw, not a wooden saw I wanted, but also a metal saw I really wanted as well. So this one carries both saws. It's got the metal saw, a file. The reason I wanted this is, again, this is kind of my outdoor watch, so this is great for if you have to cut like a fishing hook or want to sharpen a fishing hook, if you want to sharpen one of the other knives. I just think it's a nice thing to have and very handy. Wooden saw, of course, kind of speaks for itself too, and for outdoor purposes comes in handy. These are actually really sharp too. Great for, you know, cutting twigs, branches. I mean, you can cut some good sized wood with it as well. So those are kind of the three things, or kind of three things I was after. Reason why I chose this one. You can get the Mountaineer. The Mountaineer will have everything except for the pliers. So if you don't really need the pliers, you know, take a look at the Mountaineer. That'll give you, I believe, almost everything you need except for the pliers. That's not something that's important to you. Now, this one is a camper. The reason I chose this one is it's, again, really small and sleek, and this one I kind of got as a paring knife. So it's got minimal tools. It's got a knife, smaller blade, and it's got a saw on it, a wood saw, but it doesn't have scissors. It doesn't have a lot of other stuff that this has, but I kind of got this to be more of a complementary knife. So this I actually carry with my Gerber dime. So this is kind of like I probably carry these two together, and they complement each other really well because the Gerber kind of adds a lot of the stuff for me. So the Gerber has a pretty nice robust pair of pliers, I think stronger than what the Handyman has, and it's got scissors as well. So it kind of fills kind of the void. It's got pretty nice scissors as well. Kind of similar to, it looks a little smaller than what this one has or these two have, but again, you got the scissors. So it really kind of got this as a pairing. So they're both pretty small, that if I wanted to carry one, like if I was just more kind of an office carry, you know, work in office environments, I probably wouldn't need to carry anything this substantial, but something like this is nice and light, or even one of these are pretty light, but together they make a great combo. So I kind of got this one for the sole purpose of having a very light one I can carry to the office, knowing that I have the Gerber dime that I can always pair it with if I want a kind of a more robust tool set. But overall, I feel like this is kind of a nice trio to have. It kind of covers all bases, all purposes. You know, I live in a urban environment, so I don't need a whole lot of accessibility, but I do like to go out fishing and camping, so this is where this one comes in handy. Now, I ordered a Evolution 23. Actually, I have to actually return it, but I have it here boxed up. I can just show it to you guys. So here's the Evolution 23. The reason it's not out here is with the rest of my knives is because it arrived broken. So the main reason I got this one was for the magnifying glass. I wanted kind of for emergency purposes, fire starting, and this was actually the first knife I got. So this is kind of what I mean is I thought that this would be the perfect one for a single knife. And actually, you know what? I mean, I think it does give the Huntsman a run for its money. It is thicker than the Huntsman. So for kind of everyday carry, it is one layer thicker. But this really has everything the Huntsman would, with the addition of magnifying glass. And if you look at mine, it arrived without a piece of glass. So that's why it's in the box, and I'm waiting to receive my new one so I can ship this one back. So I haven't really used this one yet. It's just been sitting in the box waiting for my new one to arrive. But this one does give you the scissors, knife, saw, corkscrew, some other tools in the back here as well. But this one actually was the first one I picked out. So after I figured out kind of what do I need, what tools I want, I settled on this one. But then, I don't know, I kind of got the itch that I want this, I want that, so, and I kind of should have known myself a little better that that's where I end up. So in the end, I went down this route, and this is kind of what I have now. A quick little update also, what I did is, you're probably familiar with the compact. When I was looking at this little guy. This is the same size as the compact. I did want the compact because it's got the plus scale, so you get the knife and you get a pin. But they're, I think, too expensive. They're like $45, and this was I think like, let me double check what I paid for this. I think it was like only like 20 bucks. It's like half the cost. Yeah, this was $25. The compact was $45, so about half the cost. And the only thing the compact was adding was scissors, which again, got my dime, and the plus scales and the pin. But what I realized actually is that all of these have a hole for the pin already. So even though these aren't the plus scales, let me try getting close here. So if you look, they all already kind of had a hole in there. So what I did is I just made my own pin. So I took actually one of my wife's, I don't know what you call these things, bobbin pins, I think. I don't know what they call them. Those like hair pins that she loses all the time. I find these everywhere. So I took it, I cut it, I kind of gave the, get the, in here, I kind of gave it a little sharpening to make it a little, and, oops, sorry, and it fits right in here. So basically, got the same benefit of the compact, and these pins do come in handy. I'm kind of a, oh my gosh, why can't I go in now? In a second. It's kind of hard to do with looking through a camera. But these are great for like resetting routers, or if you have to point at, you know, stick something or pick something up. Makes perfect. And I did this actually for all of them. Same thing here. This one actually was the first one I modified, and for this one I actually used a different kind of pin. It was actually like a sewing pin. Oh man, come on. Alright, probably should have planned a little better for this video, but I think I kind of pushed this one a little too far in. There we go. So for this one, I actually use like an actual pin. You would find it kind of used to when you buy dress shirts. I have to kind of file the tip down a little bit to make it fit. But it goes right in there. And then, oh, actually, I think I see why it gets pushed in. I think with a screwdriver, jams it in a little more. But same with, for this one, I just use a typical bobbin pin. Now, what I also did with these, and maybe when I get another one, because I'm sure I will, is I actually modify the scales. So these scales, you can actually pop them off, and they're kind of hollow on the inside. They have a kind of like a little braces to support it, but there's a little space in between there. If you look, you know, there's just maybe a couple sheets of paper of space. So what I actually ended up fitting into all these scales and all these knives is some fishing hooks and some fishing line. So I actually was able to fit, I think, about 2 to 3 hooks per knife, and some other, so I think each knife I was able to get at least 2 hooks, I think 3 in some. So like a needle, maybe a couple needles inside there, and about 6 feet of fishing line in there. So it's kind of hard to believe, but so each of these knives has about 2 or 3 fishing hooks inside here, and some fishing line. And then I use a little rubber cement to kind of seal it, put it back on, and can't really tell. So I did this on all of them, so just a little extra, so you can actually see a little glue residue here. I gotta get that off, but otherwise it's on there. You can't even tell that these have been modified, but I think it's kind of a cool thing to do. I also ordered ferro rods. So there's a company that makes a ferro rod that replaces the toothpick or the tweezers. I'm going to ditch the toothpick because I don't see a purpose for it, but they basically make a ferro rod that you would store in here too. So that way, just another, I think, survival tool. So I order, I think it comes like an 8-pack, so I'm going to be able to outfit all these with the ferro rods. So just another cool survival tip to have. So yeah, so that's kind of my overview on why I chose these knives and why I think these three kind of really go together well. And I don't know, these are addictive. I like them. To be honest, I'll probably get more. I mean, I got my Evolution 23 coming, so once I get that one, maybe I'll mod this one. This is the winger version. It's got kind of the grippy scales, so I don't know if I'll have any room in here to modify these, but I should have that one. I think if it's shipped yet or not. But once I get that one, I'll add it to my collection here. And I don't know, I think the next one I kind of want to try is the Work Champ, which is the 100 and I think it was a 10, 11 millimeter, so it's a little bit longer. So you just have longer, bigger tools to work with. But it's very similar to the Handyman, just it's bigger. It's got a little bit of a bigger grip. So maybe I'll get that one, or maybe the Huntsman. I do think the Huntsman's kind of probably the best one to have. I would say if you're if you can only have one and carry one, I would say it's the Huntsman, which is this size. If that's too big for you, then I would get the Compact, which is same size as this, but you replace the wood saw for scissors, which I think are probably the more handy, and then you get a pen, which is kind of cool too. But they're expensive. I think it is probably. I think the Compact must be probably one of their best-selling models. That it's, you know, such a pricey one, but it's kind of cool that it gives you a pen. I kind of wish they'd let you design your own. I wish Victoria Onyx would just go on your website where you can actually build your own, pick what tools you want, make your own. But can't go wrong with these. I mean, you know, these aren't what I would call premium knives. I mean, I have like my Bug Out, which I think is probably my favorite knife. Or you can't go wrong with the Paramilitary 2. I mean, this thing's like a scalpel. I'll probably make a video about this one later, but I don't know, something about these knives just appeals to me. I had one, a knockoff, the Wonder Knife, I think it's called, as a kid. I think I used to go fishing, so kind of nostalgic too to kind of have one of these again, and maybe one day I'll give this to my kids. But yeah, if any questions, let me know. But this is kind of what I've narrowed down to the three most complementary knives together. All right, all the best and happy hunting.